Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the Daily AI Experiment. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Lori again, and what are we on? We're on number 4. So, 4. 4 is like, that's a big number, I think, you know.
It is. And after each one, it feels like the bar gets a little higher. The pressure is on.
Right. Pretty soon, you know, this is going to be like 2-hour podcast too, because they keep getting a little longer every time. So, anyhow, what do you have for us today, Lori?
What do I have for us? I am just loving NotebookLM. Is it okay if I share my screen for Google NotebookLM?
I'd love you to share your screen for NotebookLM. So yeah, I love NotebookLM, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't even heard of it. This is going to be amazing. I'm so excited because I know you're doing some amazing things with it.
The URL for anybody who's watching is notebooklm.google.com. And right now we are using the free version, and I'm going to click Create New. Here's where you can add sources, right? So you can connect your Google Drive, you can put in links, YouTube links, you can copy and paste in some text. So essentially you're building your own little project to start. And I thought, what better project than a Dan project, right? So what I did is, if you can still see my screen, I compiled a list of URLs that I'm going to start inputting. The first is the LinkedIn profile. You don't mind, do you, Dan?
Go ahead.
All right. The next, the website. You see that? It's going in.
Yeah.
Let's see how we are. I think I'm getting better. Sources over there. Website.
Oh,
then I thought a couple of his different websites all going in.
So you've been cyber stalking me, or what?
Yep. All right. Then I thought it would be fun to put in our new YouTube channel and see.
Yeah.
I know that. Oh, wait. So I couldn't do the channel. That's interesting. Okay. So we just learned something together. Okay. However, I'm quite certain that the links to our videos will work. Oh, or not. Interesting. Oh, I know why. Do you want to know what happened there?
I do.
Sources, YouTube.
Of course.
All right. We'll keep trying. I don't know. It gave me a little red thing there. I don't know what it means, but I'm still going to go for it. And this is always a good reminder, right? If something doesn't work, it's probably a good reason, or keep trying. What does it say? This video cannot be imported. Transcript not available. Oh, interesting. All right. That's okay. The other thing that you taught us yesterday was what? That transcript, YouTube transcript?
Right. Well, yeah, this is easy if you don't even have to do that, right?
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't have a transcript with our. All right, so now I haven't used this. So copy entire transcript?
Just you have to wait, and it looks like maybe YouTube never did a transcript for it. Oh, never mind. There it is.
There it is.
So you can just click copy whole transcript.
Oh, Command A, right? Command A.
Well, no. There's a little button at the bottom.
Oh.
Right under the Get It Now.
Ha. Okay. So then what we'll do here, and we'll just do this one for now, is I'm going to go back to here, and we're going to say where we're adding stuff. We're going to do copy, paste text.
Nice.
Insert. All right. So we'll just start here. Now, here's where you can ask a question, or you can customize this conversation for what we should focus on. So what should we find out? Why should Santa hire Dan to help improve operations at the workshop? I have no idea what this is going to turn out like. I know it's silly. Is it too silly?
No, never.
All right, so that's going to take a few minutes. I might stop sharing while we wait, or we can just wait and watch together, kind of like looking at staring at the microwave.
Well, we'll look at each other. How about anyhow? People, a spinning dial, not very exciting.
Ooh. So, today I was going to show the advanced voice interacting with the internet for live data, and it has not rolled out to me yet, but I'm keeping a close eye because I'm very excited about the ability to speak with live data. Today I was with someone actually who has the Gemini Live or Gemini voice feature. He asked about the Viking game yesterday, and it came back, correct score and everything. However, then it talked about a run, what is it, by Dalvin Cook. And we were like, nope. Not in yesterday's game. He does not play for the Vikings. Oops. So I do want to run that same test and see if there's any better luck with OpenAI's advanced voice mode.
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean, it is AI, and a little warning. We should maybe once in a while do a little warning. You always see it. It says things like, you might not get accurate answers, double check your work. Right. And, but see, I know people that bothers a lot. It's like, it's not accurate. And it's like, but what it does is so amazing. I mean, how many R's are in strawberry? Have you seen this one? And no. It can't count how many R's are in the word strawberry because of the way it processes, which is really fascinating.
But I think it raises an interesting point, right? So when we go to these tools, there are different kinds of things you're going to ask or things that you're going to want help with. And one of the questions to always ask is, how important is it if the answer is right? What are the risks or what are the implications if it's wrong? And then the other piece of it is, if you are the expert in your area asking the questions, right, you're going to know or be able to recognize if it's wrong. Where the danger comes in is if you're not really a Vikings fan and you get that answer, right, you're going to be, oh my God, did you hear about Dalvin Cook? Oh my God, he had an amazing game. And people are going to be like, huh?
Yeah, where you been? Exactly. So it's really, I mean, again, think of it. You always have to think of AI as an augmenting tool. It augments your ability as a human being. And people get worried about replacing human beings. Learn how to use it, and that'll just up your game in whatever you're doing. So that's the message, and that's why we're here. Really, is to help people up their games. So absolutely.
Oh, here we go. We have 12 minutes, Dan. Are you ready to hear a little bit about it and what it says about you?
Oh, I'm excited. I need to hear some. It better be, it's like, it better not say Dan has no business hanging around Santa, but we'll see.
And I have not tried this yet, putting in some type of like fantasy or, not real world.
Right. Well, here we go. Okay. Just so you know, I don't hear anything.
You can't hear this?
No.
Oh, how do we change that?
Okay, I'm going to pause us. Well, hello, everybody. So what we had to do, because it's an experiment and we didn't want to waste your time, we went ahead and solved our little audio problem. We had an audio problem, and we've got a great solution, which of course, Lori came up with, and that's to use your phone. So maybe you can explain a little bit what that process is in case someone else needs to do it.
Absolutely. So what we found out is the audio didn't play through the meeting when we did this through the browser that was on the desktop. So Dan, I really think this was your idea. He's like, do it on the phone. So I went to the same link, NotebookLM.google.com on my phone, logged in, and was able to call it up here. And when I click play, the audio does work here. So are you ready? What we did was we asked NotebookLM.google.com. We're doing what's called an audio overview. And these two hosts who are AI hosts come up with an entire conversation based on the information that we fed the tool. In this case, we put in Dan's LinkedIn profile, Dan's website, and I think a transcript from one of our daily AI Experiments. And now we're going to see why Dan would make a great employee at Santa's workshop. I know, it makes no sense. So let's see what AI
I'm excited. I'm always open to new job opportunities. So.
And tell me to pause at any time if there's any comments you want to make after hearing things. Because what happens is, even though this is a total false, you know what I mean, non-existent job in fantasy world, there are still some things you learn about yourself or what your digital profile is like based on what these AI announcers come up with.
So let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
Who is Dan Wegner? His LinkedIn says that he's based in Osceola, Wisconsin.
Interesting.
Not Silicon Valley.
Yeah, not quite.
But he's got over 3,000 followers and more than 500 connections on LinkedIn. So this suggests that he's a pretty recognized figure in his field.
That's a great point. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't really expect to find like a big AI expert in a smaller town like that, 3,000 followers, especially in a field that's changing so rapidly.
Right.
It seems like he's built a pretty solid reputation.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
His LinkedIn profile also says that he's really passionate about helping organizations of all sizes, big and small, to use technology to increase efficiency and revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And he's worked with some pretty big names.
Mm-hmm.
Apple, IBM, Target, Bank of America.
That's pretty impressive. I'm seeing a trend here. It looks like tech, retail, and finance. So his AI experience isn't just limited to one industry.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's dig a little deeper into some of the stuff that we found. We see.
So Dan, the first thing, I don't think it got that chat or question related to Santa when I switched it over to the phone.
It got lost, huh?
Mm-hmm. What do you think so far?
I mean, it's very flattering, obviously. It makes me sound really cool. I like that. Yeah, I think, and it obviously does a good job. I love the back and forth. I've seen other podcast AI tools and they don't even compare with what Google's got going on with NotebookLM. So I think that's really fascinating.
What was interesting to me is the way they talked about the small town.
How did they know?
But I'm not even in my head. I'm like, is that any kind of bias or not? Just in terms of your location and what you've done. Because in my head, I don't know if I would have highlighted. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I've noticed that it really kind of randomly tries to identify things that are of interest. So there's some part of the prompting or whatever says, find something of interest, find a contrast, like big industry, small town kind of thing, So maybe, I think those kind of contrasts go well in these kind of conversations that they're trying to create.
That makes sense. Can I try playing a little more and fast forwarding a little bit just to see what happens?
Yeah, we'll see.
It's the sales process with AI. It mentions features like simplified prospecting, deep dives into key prospects, finding the right people to target. It even talks about building your personal brand, which I think is really interesting.
That's pretty smart. He's recognizing that in today's world, having a strong personal brand is a must.
Absolutely. It's not just about what you sell, but who you are and what you stand for.
And he thinks AI can help with that.
Right. Okay. So we're starting to see who this Dan Wegner is. AI expert, thought leader, business consultant, and possibly the person who created Workflow Assassin. But there's one thing missing.
What's that?
We haven't actually heard him speak.
Oh, you're right.
So let's get to that podcast excerpt and see what we can learn from Dan himself.
Sounds good. In this podcast excerpt, he's talking to his co-host Lori about a new AI feature that sounds pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, I was really intrigued by that. So this feature lets you have a conversation with AI in real time using like the camera on your phone.
Wow, that sounds like a big jump forward for AI interaction, I mean, we usually just use text or voice commands,
right.
But adding this visual input just adds a whole other layer.
Yeah, like giving the AI eyes to see.
Exactly.
To show this off, he shows his aloe vera plant to the AI through the camera and asks for gardening advice.
Hold on, how does the AI respond? Like through text or is it more interactive?
Okay, get this. The AI actually has a Santa Claus voice.
What?
And gives him advice on how to take care of the plant.
That's hilarious.
Right.
But also like super innovative. I mean, combining AI visual input and then giving it a personality.
Right.
That's a smart way to make AI more engaging and easy to use.
Yeah. And then what's even more interesting is that they start brainstorming a bunch of different ways to use this technology.
Okay, like what?
They talk about everything from using it for home repairs to navigating complicated software. It's like they're opening up a whole world of possibilities.
I thought they're going to play the audio.
That's exact. I was like, no way.
Yeah, me too. And then, of course, they got it wrong. In case you haven't watched that episode, ladies and gentlemen, Lori brought up the Santa voice and the Chat GPT enhanced vision, right?
Yes, and that that comes too. If it's the transcript, I'm not sure if it's clear in the transcript who's talking, and if it would be different if we had the URL. I don't know.
Got some things wrong, like we were talking earlier, and but that's okay because we're not looking for it to be. I don't think we're looking for it to have all the right answers. We're looking for it to augment our lives. That was so cool. I love all the things that NotebookLM can do. It's not dissimilar to the idea of projects that we talked about yesterday. But when you add that audio overview, what do they still call it, a deep dive?
I think so.
Yeah, that technology is, for me, it's the best use of technology I think I've ever seen as far as AI and making something seem really human. The only reason you can tell it's AI is that it's just so perfectly done,
I know.
So,
it was interesting. My cousin, she was very interested when she listened to it. She's like, it seems like the man is always leading the conversation and the woman appears to be just supporting it as opposed to also coming up with the intelligent things to say. And I thought that was really interesting. So now sometimes when I listen to it, I'm like, all right, are they equalizing where the thought leadership is coming from in their comments?
Good question. I'll try not to do that in our conversations.
But I would have never thought about that. So that's why I think it's so great to have more people using all these tools and trying things, because everyone's perspective that they're coming in with is so different.
That's fascinating. I seriously, every time I hear, there's just certain things that AI does that just have such a profound impact on me. I've used the NotebookLM to do things. You can put books in there, and I've had discussions of classic authors, and it's just crazy all the things you can do. So that was fascinating, Lori. Thank you so much for bringing that not only to me, and I got to see that new feature. We're gonna have to figure out how do we keep it the same on desktop and on mobile. We're gonna figure all that out,
and we're gonna learn as we go, right? We're gonna fumble as we go, which yesterday I learned. How do you learn, or how do you get better? You have some failures in there, and maybe they're not failures, they're stepping stones.
Right. And that's the idea of an experiment anyhow. If you always get the expected result, it's not an experiment. It's just a validation. And we're experimenting. It's going to be different than what we expect. We're going to have pitfalls, but there's always a way to get to the next step. And if you just keep moving forward, you're going to grow in your understanding of this technology or anything you do.
Absolutely. And I hope people will try NotebookLM and let us know in their comments what they thought of the experience, how it did, what they learned about themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
They themselves, they could do anything.
I love this idea of taking all your personal stuff and dumping it in there and having it talk about you. I think it really does boost your sense of like, oh, I have done some things. There are some really nice milestones in my life or whatever, and that's really that can really help get a better idea of how the outside world sees you. So thanks for doing that. It makes me feel even better. So thank you.
Can I sneak in one other use case that I thought about? So imagine if you're preparing, for a job interview or something like that, right? And you put your LinkedIn profile in there. It could give you an idea of what the person interviewing you or the organization you're going into, what they see about you and what questions they could be asking you, or what could be relevant from your profile to be talking about. I just thought it could be a worthwhile experiment to try as someone who is seeking employment.
I couldn't agree more. I think having that insight as you go into an interview can really be a game changer and a confidence builder, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, I should do an interview right now because I feel so pumped up. By the way, everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks so much again, Lori.
You're very welcome. And we'll be back at it tomorrow, and you're on the hot seat.
Ooh, and I'm not ready, but I will be. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks again.